This is Coffee, Country, and Cody.
Good morning from the A-Cup House. Everybody, welcome in. It's Coffee, Country, and Cody. We've got Annie Nye running mission control for us this morning. Charlie Mattos standing by. I'm here, Kelly Sutton. Upstairs, Jeff Roberts. So we are on the air. We're in the middle of Tuesday. We are glad that you guys are a part of the show. And coming up in just a little bit, entertainment headlines. We just got off on a tangent. We were talking about bad first dates, which those were good. Annie wins. So if this was a contest, Annie for sure won that round.
It was bad on every level.
It was bad on every level.
Yeah. When the premise of the date is bad, it's not a good start.
True.
When there's not even the potential for it to be okay.
Like, it's not going up from here.
Right.
This is it.
Yeah.
So, we're talking about all of that. Valentine's Day, of course, next week. So we're going to get into some of the bad Valentines and things that have happened there, but also entertainment headlines. So coming up, Jelly Roll doing a free show. This was really special. It was out in California, not attached to the Grammys. But you know how Jelly Roll just has a knack for finding his people. Doesn't matter where he is or what he's doing. He found his folks out in California. So we'll be talking about that. Kelly Clarkson and Kelsey Ballerini, the overlap is kind of crazy on how many times there have been full circle moments for Kelsey because of Kelly. All of that and more in entertainment headlines. And also coming up in just a little bit, Darius moved to London. So he was in South Carolina, then he was in Nashville, now he lives in London. I said, if you wanted to get booked on that show that we're going to be doing in September, the Grand Ole Opry going to London, there are easier ways.
We would have flown you there.
There are easier ways, Darius, but I do feel like now it's kind of a shoe-in for him. Mm-hmm. So all that. Plus, Allie Colleen is coming in to see us. If you missed it, she was with us yesterday. We're going to show you again. Allie Colleen, of course, the daughter of Garth Brooks. She's an incredible artist. She has a brand new project that's coming out in a couple weeks.
Including vinyl?
We get a sneak peek.
Mm-hmm.
I love it when they come in and talk to us and play things for us before it's out to the public, because I feel like we're like the insiders. We're getting you in on all the know. So that's coming up as well right here on Coffee, Country, and Cody. Well, welcome in, everybody. Coffee, Country, and Cody. Time to start talking about some entertainment headlines. We got a lot to get through here. Jelly Roll doing a free show. This is just so like Jelly. It was in California. The wildfires, of course, ravaging most of the state. He decided he wanted to give back in the way that he knew how. He was going to throw a free concert for the first responders. So Jelly rents out the Rose Bowl. And here's the best part. I've said this before. I'll say it again. Jelly loves to find his people. Apparently in California, there is something that happens within the state penitentiary. You can volunteer to be a firefighter. They will train you. You will go out and you will fight these wildfires, and you get paid like $30 a day. There are 1,100 of them, and Jelly got them out and got them into watch him perform. He said, I see you, my brothers over there. And we had some video on Circle Country. They're all wearing orange jumpsuits, and he's, giving them a shout out. And I was like, how does Jelly get all of these inmates free for a night so that they can come hang out and listen to him?
It literally looked like a college football game where those were the fans of a team and they all just had their jerseys on.
Right.
They're all orange.
Yeah. Now, they were in a different section, so that was the other thing that I thought was pretty.
Right.
They're like, okay, we're going to...
You guys over there.
We're going to make sure that you're over here, and we're going to make sure none of you just wander off to concessions and don't come back.
Well, the Rose Bowl holds 100,000 people. It's a huge place.
Yes.
Yeah.
So it was really interesting, but I think that it was empty at the time, and Jelly was like, hey, let's do this for everybody. So good for you, Jelly Roll. We love you. We see your efforts, and thank you for everybody that was a part of that. I mean, that's a huge undertaking when you think about, hey, we want to just throw this together and do a free concert.
Yeah, it's not like you just show up and do it yourself.
A lot of moving parts to that. So very, very cool. And now let's talk about our friend Kelsey Ballerini making her debut on The Voice. This is The Voice. She is now the newest coach, but she really pointed to one person in particular that seems to show up at key moments in her life, and that is Kelly Clarkson. So Kelsey said she was a youngster in Knoxville at Thompson Bowling Arena. She went to see the Behind These Hazel Eyes tour that Kelly was putting on. And at one point, Kelly looks at her and kind of winks. And Kelsey said, it was like she was telling me, yeah, you can do this. You can absolutely do this. Make the move to Nashville. Well, Kelsey made the move to Nashville. The rest is history. She is now the new voice coach. And she said there's also a connection there. Listen to how this has all come about.
And
Does she know it?
Of course, yeah. And she's weirdly kind of been a consistent throughout my whole career now. So she started it for me.
And her first time coaching on The Voice, she subbed.
For Kelly Clarkson.
Oh my God, it's a full circle
I know,
moment.
she's my girl.
Okay, so that is Kelsey Ballerini, Michael Bublé, and who's the other one that's on there with her? Oh, John Legend. So they were all talking about it, and she said, yeah, I forgot. She subbed. Kelly Clarkson got really, really sick the first time, and so Kelsey had to step in and sub for her.
Oh, wow. I didn't realize that. Oh, that's cool.
Isn't that cool? I love that they're all connected. And we figured out, I knew that they had a song together. It was Kelly, Kelsey, and Carly. And it was You're Drunk, Go Home. Annie kept trying to tell me. I was like, what's the name of the song? And she said, You're Drunk, Go Home. And I'm like, I'm not drunk. What are you talking about? Yes. So that is the song if you want to hear it. Kelsey, Michael, John, and Adam Levine now coming back. Season 27 of The Voice started last night. It is off to the races. And Kelsey's also doing her shows. So she's out on tour, sold out Bridgestone Arena on Friday night. Just incredible performances. So catch her out on tour.
So Bridgestone Friday, Grammy Sunday, Voice on Monday.
Yeah.
Ooh, yeah, that's a busy few days.
Crazy,
Yeah.
right? Now,
It feels weird to have Adam without Blake.
does it?
Like he's like missing his sidekick.
a little bit.
Yeah.
It's interesting though, when I talked to her about it, the amount of the show that's pre-taped before they get to the lives is astronomical. So that's how she can be in all the places at once.
Were they not doing the pre-tape for this season while they were doing the live for
Yes.
last season?
Yes. And that's why she said, I could never do this like Blake did it, where he was back to back to back to back to back. She said, I will do it again, but I'm going to need a season off in between. And that's why we see so many of them going, okay, I'm not going to be here this season. I'll come back next season. Gwen, you know.
It's weird because you're
Yeah.
living in two dimensions. You're living in the taped dimension and the
Yes.
live dimension. You know?
In the present and
Right.
in the future,
Yeah.
all at the same time. It's a lot to take on. Well, Darius is not living in any of those now. He's living in London. So this is really interesting. I didn't even see that this was coming. For years, he lived in South Carolina. Even when he started doing country music, he was in South Carolina. And we would always tease him, when are you going to move to Nashville? When are you going to move to Nashville? Well, he finally did a couple years ago. So he's been in Nashville for a couple years. Now he's moving to London. He said, I just have always wanted to live in London at some point in my life. And why not now? He said, I've been a traveling musician my entire life. And being rooted in one place, I think I can live anywhere. So he's in London. He's working on new music. He's playing some shows. He said, don't get it twisted. Nothing will ever replace the Carolinas. That's still my real home. So I guess now C2C, that's an easy commute. Opry at Royal Albert Hall.
Yep, I'm there for that
He'll
too.
be there for that. He's like, hey, if you guys need me, I mean, I'm here. So I did say it would be easier to get on the ticket than having to move your whole life. But I guess
Well,
he wanted to.
You
check
got to
it
move
out.
somewhere. That's not a bad place.
Not a bad place. Okay, and we talked about Super Bowl, who's going to be performing. We know that the halftime show is going to be Kendrick Lamar, and he just took home a slew of Grammy Awards. Now we know John Batiste is going to be performing the national anthem, which is really, really cool because he's from that area. Trombone Shorty and Lauren Daigle are going to perform together for the pregame show doing America the Beautiful.
Saw Trombone Shorty in New Orleans a few years back.
Very
Pretty cool.
Very, very cool. Welcome in, everybody. We're sitting inside the A-Cup house at the Opry Plaza. Opened up the door and got to see a friend I haven't seen, even though we're still neighbors and he still lives in the neighborhood. We're like ships in the night. I just never get to see Keith Anderson anymore. Friend, how you been?
I'm great. How are
It's
you?
so good to see you.
Always good to see you. It has been too long.
I said, you're still in the neighborhood, right?
I know. I want to see it. We used to see it Halloween or at the swimming pool.
Right.
or all
Halloween
that.
was a big deal. We'd go trick or treating and go over to the house. Yeah. Our kids are like 3 years apart because Crosley's how old
She's
now?
13.
Oh, wow.
Jackson's 11.
Good stuff.
I've
man.
got an
Lisa's
11-year-old Jackson. That's
Yeah.
crazy. Wow.
It's crazy how it all works together. So we're looking at this. You want to talk about how fast time flies. 20 years since you released your album.
Yeah,
I can't believe it.
One of those things you're like excited and go, wow, it's celebrated. But then at the same time, you're like, I am old. It's been 20 years since that hit. And I'm like, golly, I wasn't a young pup when I broke through. You know, I kind of was later getting to Nashville than most people. So, yeah, it's exciting. It's exciting to have it, and so much has happened, and so much has gone on between those 20 years, and obviously not all good, but lots of good.
Yeah.
And it's good to be back doing this again. I took some time off just to raise some kids, be a single dad, and it's been awesome.
The cool part is it still sounds really great. It's still a really great record, and that's kind of nice because some things don't date well, you know. And I listened to this. I listened to the whole thing start to finish, and I'm like, man, this is still a great record.
That was a fun time, just being in that studio with Chip Matthews and Jeffrey Steele, and gosh, Chip just spent hours in that studio trying to perfect everything. We would think it was done, and he'd be like, oh no, I got to add this other thing to it, and yeah, it's fun. That was one of those songs that you pray for because it's got the cool melody. It's got the cool hook with the double meaning, and it's got that opening guitar riff that is just like classic. So we were lucky on that one to have all three of those things.
We're talking about Picking Wildflowers for everybody out there. So hang tight if you haven't seen it in a minute, because we're going to run the video for everybody and play it coming up in just a little bit. Walk us back to when you first came to Nashville. What year did you come to town?
98.
Okay.
98, yeah, 98, 99, yes.
And what was it like then? What were you doing, and how did you find your footing when you first got here?
I tell everybody it's so different. You just kind of got to find what your niche is. And for me, I wanted to be a writer first and foremost. I loved songwriting. I always wanted to be an artist, but I just wanted to dive into the writing and just learn everything I could about writing and become as good of a writer as I could. And so I just threw myself into that and immediately tried to start playing any kind of writer's night I could, just to go out and meet other writers and just get better at performing, get better at playing live. And I was determined to go places where I could play music that I had written, because I just wanted to be a songwriter so bad that was important to me. And so I was playing Bluebird pretty early, because I got to be good friends with George Dukas pretty early, and Rory, and Jeffrey Steele was a friend early, and then just as things progressed, I got to write with, bigger and bigger writers and learn more. It was like every day was like going to college for songwriting, because you're just learning so much from all these writers. And it was awesome. It was everything looked different. There were still all the gift shops down on Music Road, and I was a waiter at Sammy B's. I was probably the worst waiter in the history of waiters, but I was there just trying to meet people and had my little demo I'd hand out if somebody asked. And I was waiting tables, and Heidi Newfield was valet parking.
You guys had crossed paths
She
back
was the
then.
valet parking girl, and I was the waiter, and we would just talk about all these dreams. She had a band called Rebel at the time that became Trick Pony. And it was a fun time.
It's part of me that'd rather have her as my server and you park in my car.
Yeah.
If I just had to script it. But
I'm not going to deny, you probably got your order right also.
well, so how much of a game changer was Beer Run?
It changed everything, because at that time I was still just working hard and had gotten lucky enough to I was writing with George, and I was introduced to Kim Williams through Joe Don Rudy from Rascal Flatts. We grew up in the same hometown area, and we're hanging out, and he invited me to write with Kim, and Kim and I hit it off immediately. Missed that guy, one of the greatest men in Nashville. But he found out I was writing with George Dukas, and he said, man, I'd love to write with him. I've always been a fan. So I set him up, and the first song we wrote was Beer Run with him. With the first song, he also was wanting to write with John Rich, but he's like, I don't know about him. He looks like he might be mean. And I'm like, Kim, you'll love him. You'll love him.
Looks like
so
he
we
might
hit it
be
off, and
mean.
the first song the three of us wrote together was Pick 'em All Flowers. So
Wow.
Kim was a big part of all that. But yeah, George came in, and we we were knocking stuff around, and Kim said, my daughter Amanda just came home from college saying, hey, we're going to go on a beer run, BWEWRUN. And I'd heard that in college. I just hadn't heard it in a songwriter, as a creative, write that down and do something with it. And so we wrote it. It was completely different. When we first wrote it, it was really fast-paced, almost machine gun kind of thing. And Kim played it for Garth. He loved it. He already had an idea that he wanted to do something with George Jones. It was kind of similar to Ain't Going Down, so the tempo of it, not the melody or anything. But so he just said, I love this concept, but let's, and I want to do something with George Jones, so let's rewrite it. So
That's so cool.
yeah, it was awesome. So there's two completely different versions of that. But
Was that all in the same year? Like that came out and then Wildflowers came out?
no, that was. Oh, I was going to finish. I didn't even have a publishing deal at the time. I was still just writing with other people, and did my, quarterly meetings with all the publishers, kind of going, "Here's the newest stuff," and they're like, "You're getting closer. Let's set you up with some more of our writers, so we'll have publishing on that if you do write something good." And it was just that last meeting was about 2 weeks before we found out all that was going to happen, and it was just everybody was still politely, "No, but you're getting there," and then. We'd probably written the song already, but then Kim called and said, hey, this is going to happen. Garth's going to do this, and he's bringing in George Jones. And then every one of those publishers called back going, hey, on second thought, we were thinking of writing.
It's amazing how much of a better writer you suddenly became, right? Oh, that's
Write
great.
a song for Garth Brooks and George Jones, and then everyone is interested. That's all it takes, kids. If you're at home, you just come in and write a big old hit like that.
So Beer Run was 01, and then Three Chord Country, the debut album was 05, right?
I'd had some stuff on Gretchen's, one of her records before I had my deal, and was writing so much with Big and Rich, and all that stuff started getting hot. And so, I showcasing same kind of thing, showcased in 2003, and all the labels just had said, we like it, keep you doing it. And then during that, that was the very last part of 2003, and then during 2004, Big and Rich and Gretchen hit huge, and I was so tied into those guys that the next year I did basically the exact same showcase. I don't think we played any of the hits that ended up on the record that we hadn't already played the year before, and then we had an offer from every label.
There you go.
Later. So it's just a timing thing.
There it is.
More coffee, country, and Cody is on WSM.
Hard to imagine it's been 20 years, but we are celebrating that mark this morning with Keith Anderson. 20 years ago, Three Chord Country and American Rock and Roll was released. Here's the thing that I was just looking at, Keith, and I didn't realize this. How many hits you had off of that one album? That's unheard of anymore. That you had Pickin' Wildflowers, Every Time I Hear Your Name, Double XL, Podunk, all of those from that very first album. Yeah. That's really strong.
We redid the title song, Three Chord Country and American Rock and Roll, and Steven Tyler came in and sang it also. And it just never, it was weird timing because Every Time I Hear Your Name was still climbing the charts. And for some reason the label wanted to just, it was at number 6 with a bullet. So we really were going to go top 5 for sure, maybe farther. And they pulled that, and there were some stations that just started playing it a lot, and they didn't want to quit playing it, and so we had trouble with that Three Chord Country duet with Steven Tyler, which was a bummer for me because I was really wanting that.
Did you get to meet him, or was it? Oh, it was very cool.
Yeah,
he lived here for a while. He was with us for a few years.
Yeah,
played the Opry.
He was,
yeah.
He had a little band,
kicking around town.
But now they're retired.
I guess
he's not singing anymore. He's had a lot of vocal issues.
Yeah.
When we did that, he had just got through with vocal surgery, so we had to push some of that recording back on that because he'd had some kind of cancerous polyp or something he had to remove. Yeah.
What was the takeaway from working with him?
Well, it wasn't much for me. I mean, I got to meet him. Most of his recording he did on his own, but I got to hang with him right before I left LA. I had to come back for the CMA Fest. But he's a lot smaller than I thought. And because he's just such a big personality, big voice.
How tall are you?
I'm 6 foot, 6'1".
Yeah, and he's probably like 5'7", 5'8".
Tom Petty's only 5'7". You just imagine everybody to be like 6'4" for some reason because on that stage.
And he's such a big personality,
voice,
big voice, and so but he was just really funny, but he was on. I mean, he was entertaining the whole time. So it was awesome. Just you know, he was such a everything. Aerosmith was such a big deal for me, and he was he's one of my favorite singers. So it was awesome just to be able to meet him and him be like, Keith, you know. It was like,
hey, he knows my name. That's pretty great.
Is there a cue card somewhere?
Awesome.
So when the record starts to take off, who are you out on the road with?
We were doing a lot of solo stuff, and then all of a sudden Rascal Flatts called, and we were out with them for quite a while. And
So you're playing big houses then, right?
yeah, it was awesome. We would go out. We're still doing some radio tour stuff too. So we'd be doing a radio tour on Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday. Meet up with those guys. You know, either if not Thursday, then we were doing a lot of the clubs and radio shows during the week. I was like this most of the time.
Yeah.
You know,
Oh, yeah.
losing your voice. And so we meet up with them and do the shows on the weekend with Blake. Blake was opening for them also. So it was me and Blake and Rascal Flatts, and just became great friends with Blake during that time.
I mean, they're going back out on the road. This would be the perfect time.
What's that?
They're back out on the road this year. This would kind of be the perfect time.
Maybe it's a reunion.
I feel like it's
A 20-year anniversary of
how
me
fun
and my
would that
me and my
be?
gang at that time.
That would be so much fun to get everybody back together. If they're
Anybody
listening,
listening?
yeah,
Gary,
yeah.
Jay, Jordan.
I was gonna say text Jodan real quick, see what's going on there. Keith Anderson in studio with us this morning. I love that song.
Thank
so
you.
good. Where were you when that really started, like, changing things? It's interesting. I love hearing from a songwriter or an artist when they put something out and they're like, I can tell, I remember the moment that it caught fire because they were singing it back to me, or people were mentioning it to me, or every time I got in the car, it was on the radio.
Yeah, that was one of those crazy songs where you just realize the power of music and power of words, because that song was written. I wrote that with Jason Sellers and Tim Nichols, and we got together. It's the first time we'd written together, and Jason was telling me, he's like, man, your song, every time I hear your name, help me get through this breakup. And he was kind of talking about that, and we're like, well, that sounds like another song. Let's write that. So it was written about a breakup, and then we go in the studio, and my mom just got diagnosed with brain cancer, and we knew it was terminal. And my producer just lost his son, and it just kind of took on a different kind of meaning when we were in the studio. And I still didn't think a lot about it meaning anything else. It just kind of it was a different feeling in the studio as we're recording. And so when we put it out, we were getting immediate calls from people going, man, there's people calling about people that have lost sons and daughters in the war, that have lost, a husband or wife to cancer or death, or just a breakup song. And it just kind of took on that double meaning where it was touching more than just a breakup song. It was touching other kinds of situations and other kinds of lives. And then there was that horrible shooting at Virginia Tech at the time.
Oh, yes.
And there were some stations in that area that were using that as a song with a bunch of the news footage clipped into it. And it kind of took on another, powerful thing there too. And so it just continued to grow in a lot of different ways. And so it was
a great video that went along with it too.
Thanks. We did that. It was a tribute to my mom on that
Yeah.
one. It was really for her, because we were at that point when we shot it, we knew that she only had about a month left. So.
Wow. Well, it's just a testament that you've been the soundtrack to people's lives for 20 years.
20 years.
Isn't that something?
It is.
That's
It
a
is.
lot
It's
of stories,
crazy
a
when-
lot of people touched, friend.
Yeah, it's funny because you've just been touring. We never quit touring. Really getting busy again. But it's funny because it's been this long, and
Yeah.
all of a sudden, I've noticed over the last couple of years, you're in the meet and greet line, and there's these young girls that are coming up, and they're so excited and nervous, and I was just sitting there thinking, I still got it. and then they walk up and they say, oh my gosh, my mom or my grandma loves you. And it's like, okay.
Listen, I still love you. I'm so happy you came in. It's so good to see you. Keith Anderson with us this morning. We're celebrating 20 years, 3-chord country and American rock and roll. And you're hearing it all right here on WSM.
This is Coffee, Country, and Code.
Talking to friends this morning that we haven't seen in a minute, and I love catching up with Keith Anderson. 20 years celebrating his debut.
Yeah, and you'll get to see all of that tomorrow
Yeah.
morning on Circle Country as well. So you may have heard some of it, but if you want to see it, You can get the video's great. I love video. 20-year-old videos are like a great time machine. I love that.
It is, because honestly, I'm looking at it going, that doesn't look like it's 20 years old. It still has a timeless quality, and there's so much throwback that's happening right now to 90s and 2000s country that it just kind of fits right in that groove.
Yeah, fun visit.
Fantastic. Okay, entertainment headlines. How much would it cost to have Rascal Flatts play your wedding? This is a great question, and I know they're tongue-in-cheek and it's silly, but, you know, you see every once in a while, I'll be scrolling on social media and I'll be like, Russell Dickerson showed up at somebody's wedding and played their reception. Was that just their fans and he showed up to surprise them, or did they actually pay for him to do that? So what do you think like the going cost would be to have a very prominent artist play your wedding?
I'm going to say $100,000 to $200,000 would get you there.
I think that's fair. Yeah, I think that's probably around there. Annie, you're blown away. Annie's like, wait a minute, what?
I thought that they always did it for free. I thought every time you saw that, like someone performs at a person's wedding, I thought that they were doing it out of the goodness of their heart. I am alarmed.
And sometimes
to
they
learn.
are. No,
Right.
and sometimes they are.
Right,
and
but
sometimes
how often
they're
are they
They're not. Yeah.
That's upsetting.
Okay, so I just did like, how much does it cost for a country star to play your wedding? Anywhere from 15 grand to upwards of $1 million.
Right.
So you've got the wide range, depending on who it is. Look at Annie is shocked right now. We've rocked your world.
$1 million?
Oh, easily, yeah.
For who?
Well, Rascal Flatts is asking 3.
Oh
Million?
my God.
This is what they said.
Well, they
I swear.
clearly do not want to play weddings.
They don't. I think that's the point. It's kind of like, I'm not going to do it. It's, you put that price on your house. It's the make me move price. I really don't want to go anywhere and I'm not going to move, but if you're going to pay this, then I'll figure it out.
Right.
So Rascal Flatts, Jada Marcus sat down with Taste of Country and they were just talking about weddings and all that stuff. And he said, how much would it cost to book Rascal Flatts at a wedding? And he said the price would be $3 million, $1 million for each of us. That's how much they don't want to do weddings. But if there's someone listening that has a $3 million price tag,
There you go.
or $3 million budget for their wedding reception, give the boys a call. They've got time. They don't go out on the road on the Life is a Highway reunion tour until next week. So,
They have time.
and they have some dates in between. So, yeah. I just, it made me start thinking like, I can't remember what we had a DJ and I can't remember what we paid him, but I swear it was maybe $200 for the entire night. Maybe. And that was 25 years ago. I probably owe him some money. I feel bad about it now. So anyway, if you're planning a wedding, just know if you want somebody good, you're going to have to budget for that one. All right, Cole Swindell. I just love this song and I love everything that's around it. Cole has been around for a very long time and he's had a number of hits, but his latest one, Forever to Me, is very special. He actually wrote it for his now wife, then fiance. Here's what Cole had to say about the song. Oh, never mind. Okay, we will talk about that later. Cole was basically saying that this is one of those songs that I just had been releasing things over my career that I knew meant a lot to me. And I'm really happy because now, not only did I get to write this for her, but now we got to live our forever together. So this is Forever to Me is the name of the song. Currently climbing, and he's doing really well. He's been married now, coming up on a year in June. So they're doing good.
It's a sweet song. We played it earlier this morning. It really is a great
This
song.
morning, he said, you know what? It was nice for me to have that time where I learned how to take care of myself and be my own person and then meet the love of my life instead of getting married too young. All right. Ella Langley also has a song out now. She hasn't released it. It was a little bit of a sneak peek, but I got a hold of the details on it. If you remember the PCCAs, the People's Choice Country Awards on the red carpet, Miranda Lambert kind of dropped a little bombshell and said, hey, I'm getting ready to write with Ella Langley. And people just went nuts. They were like, this is great. This is going to be amazing. Well, Ella recently performed the song. And the gist of the song is this. Ella is realizing that the guy she's interested in actually has his eyes on a Texas girl. So as her potential guy is falling in love with the girl in Texas, she is drowning her sorrows in Jack. So that's the takeaway of these two.
I respect that.
I can see that. I can see how all that came together. Feels like that would be a full circle moment for all of them in some way, shape, or form.
I think that's probably from experience. Yes.
Don't know exactly when that one is coming out, but she did just play it recently in a show. So get ready for new music from both of them. And again, Darius Rucker, no longer a resident of Nashville. I'm a little sad about this. It took him forever to finally move here. South Carolina is home for him. Moved here a few years ago. Now he's off to jolly old England. He said, you know what? I've always wanted to live in London, so I've decided that's what I'm going to do. He's working on new music over there. He's going to be playing shows in the UK, possibly C2C, and possibly with us in September when we go over with the Grand Ole Opry.
He is an Opry star.
He's an Opry star.
Seems like easy product placement.
It really is. Thanks for being with us today. We are back tomorrow. Coffee, Country, and Cody will be giving away some tickets. Drew and Ellie Holcomb at the Ryman. CircleCountry.com is where you join up with us at 8 o'clock. We'll see you then.